And we're back here in the barn. Today, I'm going to make a project. It's a stash box. And I'm going to put a inlay pattern in there, something resembling the Celtic cross. I think it's going to look really cool. Hope you enjoy watching. Follow along and see how it happens. Okay, using my router table as a jointer, this back edge of the fence is slightly forward than this front edge, allowing me to use it as a joiner so I can square up two sides 90 degrees to each other. Now I'm going to take this through the planer and get these two faces square to these two. Nice pile of dust here I got. I will clean that up later. Now that I've got this completely squared up, we're going to go back to the table saw, clean the end up. And for the inlay pieces that I'm going to do for the pattern, instead of using two different kinds of wood, I'm going to saw off little strips the same width as the kerf of my saw blade. And then I'm going to stain those pieces to get that offset. And I'm going for a specific look here, that's why I'm doing it. I hope it turns out. Hope you enjoy it too. Alright, I have my little pieces here that I'm going to use for the inlay sawed up. I'm going to sand down the rough edges and use this dark walnut stain to give it that darker accent. Okay, now that those are all stained, I'm going to let them sit and dry. We'll come back later for the next process, probably saw the main portion and then do the glue up. We'll see you in a few. Okay, while the inserts are drying with the stain, I have marked my part where I want to make my saw cuts to put the inlays in. Okay, I've got my table saw set up here to 30 degrees. That's not very critical. I just think that's a nice looking pattern. I like the way that they intersect. The more important part is the inlays, the width of those need to be the same width as the saw blade. Okay, because if you're going up against a hard stop and you rip across and you put your inlay in there, if the inlay piece is, let's say, twice the width of the saw blade, now for the second cut, when you rotate, your part is now that difference between the inlay width and your saw blade width further away. So when you make your second cut, they won't intersect on each side correctly. So it's very important to make sure that the inlay width is the same width as your saw blade in order for it to cross on each side on all four cuts to make them look even. Now that I have my two pieces sawed up, I'm going to give it a nice coat of glue, put my inlay in, put them in my little fixture, clamp them up and let them dry. Okay. there's that. We'll come back in a couple hours and make the next cut. Okay, pull this piece out. I've got it set up against the fence. I'm ready to rip the second angle. Want to sand up these edges, glue the surface, put the second inlay in, clamp it together. Okay, I've got this all glued up, mounted in between centers. I'm going to true up the OD, turn a tenon for the chuck for the next operation, and then I'll mark out where I want to cut the lid off, part it off, and then we'll go from there. Okay, I've got the main body of the box here turned and polished. I'm not going to finish it yet, but I wanted to get the majority of the sanding and the finishing done now because it's easier being that I got full support with my centers. I'm going to go ahead now and saw off this waste material, and then cut the lid off, and then we'll go to the next operation. Okay, we're back on the little green lathe. I've got the lid taped up and in the chuck, that way I don't mar the OD of this. I'm going to drill the hole for the lid, just a little pocket, and then face this square. Okay, I've got the hole drilled and bored out to the size I want. I'm going to go ahead and give it a nice sanding, and then we'll move on to the next part. Okay, I got the main body chucked up. I've already gone ahead and drilled a hole through here. What I need to do now is turn a tenon here, the same size as the bore for a nice snug fit, and then I'll face this off and maybe open that up a little bit more. Okay, now that I've got the lid fitted to the body, when I turn the tenon on here separate, it didn't quite run true, if you can see the mismatch on the outside. So I'm going to clean this up and have a nice seamless blend. I've got the grain marks lined up to have a nice seamless finish here. And then I'll sand it real good and put my polish on. Alright, I'm all done making the box. Really impressed how it came out. I decided instead of using a darker color for the inlay, but to use the same wood and stain it. Being that it's hardwood, it'll bleed, but not all the way through. and it gives it that really cool rustic look to it. That's what I was going for. I had a different vision for it slightly, but I really like how it came out. The lid fits nice and snug, doesn't fall off. You don't gotta force it to wedge it on there. Really nice box. I enjoyed making it, and I really hope you enjoyed watching it. Again, please like, subscribe, share, and we'll see you the next time. Thanks for watching.